The first Faderhead album came out in 2006, and by the end of 2026, 20 years later, I will have released 12 full albums. And so I decided that for every month of this year, I will explain the concepts and the lyrics behind one of the 12 albums. Today, my second album, FH2.
Here comes the night.
This is not a club track. The first song on FH2 was my reaction to the fact that everyone kept telling me to make more club tracks like OH Scavenger and Burning Dancing, which were on my debut album, FH1. And if you know me, you know that I don't like it at all when people tell me what I should do. So I decided to start the album with the opposite, which is a mid-tempo stomp track that says, "If I die all alone, this is not a club track." The intro vocal of this right here is Payback from way back. We don't play that. This right here is Payback. But that's straight up stolen from, who was it? Ice Cube and Paul Oakenfold's Right Here, Right Now, which was on the Blade 2 soundtrack. So it's actually quite a well-known song.
This right here is Payback. Playback. I don't play that.
Back then, I was still very heavily influenced by mid-90s and 2000s hip-hop, especially Ice Cube, whose ability, I think, to tell stories in his lyrics, I really admired back then.
Are you feeling pretty? Universally adored.
Girly Show. This was weirdly the first single instead of Dirtygrrrls, Dirtybois. I don't remember why. Probably because to me, Dirtygrrrls, Dirtybois was more like a little joke song when I wrote it. And Girly Show is very, very catchy. You can't take that away from it. I could talk about what the song is about, but I think it's pretty obvious. And this YouTube comment summarizes it perfectly. This song will forever be relevant as a jab to the e-girls and the envious chameleons who literally morph into those around them in an attempt to steal the image of one who dreams. Couldn't have said it any better. From today's point, the most notable thing for me is the bridge, where I changed the lyrical point of view from looking at the annoying other person, which, by the way, doesn't need to be a girl, and then I look at myself and my reaction to the Girly Show behavior.
I raise the stakes as you break in. A legend now in the making. And all your muscles are aching. I got the fortitude.
Also, to me, the bridge is notable because my vocal style in the bridge sounds exactly like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth.
Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my Misfits way of life.
And this was on purpose because A, I was a huge Megadeth fan, and B, I always liked the defiant attitude, angry defiant attitude that Mustaine had in his lyrics and his voice. It just sounded always super pissed off.
Do you think I'm a spaceman? You just can't match my moves.
My favorite line of the song is still, "Do you think I'm a spaceman?" Where I'm just trying to say, "Do you think I'm stupid?" And I needed it to rhyme with all the 5 lines before, which end in breaking, making, aching, faking, duration, and then spaceman.
You try to get by just faking, but you can't stand the duration. Do you think I'm a spaceman?
It's of course not a perfect rhyme, but I actually prefer imperfect rhymes because they sound less like a children's poem or Shakespeare or something like this.
Are you feeling pretty? Universally adored.
The Girly Show video was the first music video I ever directed, and it was shot by Marco Ribbe at his studio. Marco has shot many videos with me. And funnily enough, it now has an over 18 designation on YouTube because there are naked mannequins in the video. Gritty beats, no relief. This is a straight up club song with very simple in the club party lyrics. Goth scene people always gave me a lot of shit for this, which I didn't understand back then because I mostly knew the party goths in Hamburg, and they were usually really happy to dance and have a good time. At that point, I hadn't figured out that the sad people who hated everything that was kind of even close to being fun, that they were generally miserable people, you know, and they would never have bought a shirt or a concert ticket or a CD anyway, and they rarely ever went to clubs to have fun. So it would take me quite a few years to understand this, and it would take me a long time to not be confused by the full dance floors in the club when my songs were played, and then the hate on the internet about these exact same songs. Musically, the main inspiration for gritty beats came from Mr. Oiseau's flat beat, which has this whoop whoop offbeat bass that I'm using here too. I also like the detuned synth leads that Steve from And One has been using forever, and so I put one in the chorus. When I listen to this song today, I think the production is very dated and very 2006. There's the ReFX Vanguard synth all over the song. Probably the only synth I used except the sub bass, which was always Novation V Station back then. It sounds cringy to my ears now, but so does most music from that time. And I mean, everyone used that exact same synth all the time because back then it was new and cool. Overall, this is probably my least favorite song on this album because I think it has the weakest hooks of all the 14 songs. Break Apart Again. This is a song about two different people that I knew who, for different reasons, had big meltdowns and freakouts in public quite regularly. Verse 1 is about a girl that always tried to hook up with me and was very obvious about it and annoying. I think realistically it was only annoying because I didn't like her and because she was too dramatic all the time.
Spend the night trying to get your ass laid when you...
Verse number 2 is about a guy who always hung around my group of friends and always tried to score with any girl that would give him the time of day. And if it didn't work, he'd also totally freak out about it in public.
This is nothing but a breakdown. Come on, and it's time for you to break now. Come on.
I really like the chorus of the song. It doesn't really fit together with the verses, so from today's point of view, I would probably write this song very differently. But it's very catchy and a little bit surprising because it goes from the straight 4 to the floor kick drum to a halftime chorus with a oh backing vocals.
This is nothing but a breakdown. Come on, and it's time for you to break now. Come on.
And the oh is not only a cool melody, but I put it in as a little reminder of the mental meltdowns because everyone else would just always go like, oh fuck, so-and-so is freaking out again. Houston. This is a song about one of the few actual fights I ever had, which happened late at night on the Hamburg subway when two guys were harassing a woman who sat alone, young woman. And when she clearly told them to leave her alone, I at some point decided to step in and said something like, you got a problem, she told you to fuck off, something like this. I'm not exactly sure, but it definitely included the word problem because one of the guys who, luckily they were both considerably shorter than me, turned around and looked at me, and he said in a mocking tone, he said something like, Houston, we have a problem? And then a second time, Houston, I think we have a problem. And when he said that the second time, he really poked me in my chest with his finger, twice, problem, like this. And one of the things I had learned previously is that one of the most effective ways to displace an opponent without breaking, I don't know, vitally important bones or something, was to hit him straight in the sternum, because A, it hurts a lot, and it really moves the person much more than you think. I think it has to do with the fact that everything is connected to the bone, basically there. So when he poked me in my chest, I beat this guy who gave up at least, I don't know, 20 kilos, which is 40 pounds, 45 pounds, and hit him straight on the sternum. And this sent him flying through the subway, and he crashed down with his back sideways on the seats, which fucked him up quite a lot more than my hit did, I think. His little buddy was very shook up by this, and he just ran off and left his friend lying there. So, well done, dude. And I really wish I could pretend that I had said, Houston, we're landing on your fucking face, right there to this guy after he dropped.
When this motherfucker drops you like an act of blood.
Houston, we've had a problem.
But I only came up with that when I was at home later, as usual. I think we all know this situation when the cool line comes in minutes or hours later. We still play Houston live today, and I think the song still holds up 20 years later, even though I can do much, much better heavy vocals in the chorus now. Sentimental Again. This is one of my favorite songs on FH2 because I like the lyrics and the super catchy chorus. And I also don't hate my voice as much as I hate it on most of my old songs.
Every day with all the bastards, people falling through the raster.
And I said I like the lyrics because back then I was generally a much sadder person than I am today. And in this song I am writing about once again having been disappointed by a friend who had promised me things and eventually left me standing in the rain. But, and this is why I like the lyrics, I'm adding a sliver of hopefulness to the lyrics, which wasn't normal for me at all back then. Today I do it all the time, but back then it was unusual. And current me likes the fact that past me did this.
Mistakes will happen every now and then. Every now and then.
Sentimental Again also has this classic early dated 2007 sound because I was using Spectrasonic Stylus RMX and ReFX Vanguard, which were two of my most used VSTIs at the time, and Stylus RMX is probably my most used VSTI ever. I think I had it on every song until 2018.
My pain, your pain, our pain, we break.
All Dead, song number 7. When listening to the album before I made this commentary video, I was genuinely confused because for the life of me, I could not remember what I was talking about in the lyrics to All Dead. And I also found the mix on this song to be terrible. The vocals are way too loud and the rest of the music is pretty thin. Plus, I had to cringe at my vocals, which are just weak. Like, weak. All Dead is one of those songs where one half of me hates myself for having released something so weak, and the other half is glad that from today's point of view, I've apparently gotten much better at songwriting, production, and singing, so that I find All Dead terrible now because of that advancement. But seriously, even my crappiest demos today are better than this song. And the terrible thing about all of this, in 10 years, I'll probably say the same thing about some of my songs that I make now in 2026, but that's just life. Friday Night Binge, the main ballad on FH2 and a song about lost love. When you read the lyrics and see lines like the knot around arms, or where do drugs go to die, or a soul contained in a syringe, along with the title Friday Night Binge, you might think that this is a song about drug addiction, but it is not.
Overdosed on a side, and I'm saying goodbye. Where do drugs go to die?
Like In The Protagonist on FH1, where I use like Hollywood movie scenes to describe a relationship breakup, here in Friday Night Binge, I use heroin addiction terminology to describe the ending of a relationship.
Anita, playing the same song.
With this context, you can see that the relationship I am describing was constantly problematic, and yet still it had an addictive feeling, probably created by the constant problems. And only when I had enough from overdosing on a sigh, which means I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? One too many times. And then I'm asking, where do drugs go to die? Which means, how do I get this person out of my system?
And the glue that holds these pages together, set from the souls of empty milk containers.
There are a lot of lyrical details in this song that I still really like. So if you are one of the people who think my lyrics are usually just 4 lines of repeating words, this is one of the other songs maybe for you to check out and find something different. Noisebastardz. This is one of the dumb club party live songs that half of the scene hated so much because it described fun. And oh no, there can be no fun in the scene. No, it has to be serious. Lyrically, the song is pretty basic, and I can understand if people who don't like the topic that they might not like the song. That's fine. What I don't understand is that people who told me the lyrics suck usually then refer to some of the most idiotic and badly written lyrics from other scene bands, which I won't mention. But they were given as examples of much better lyrics to me. That always confused me, but it also helped me to see that that most people are extremely simple and know absolutely nothing about anything, even though they have opinions about everything, which is fine, I guess. We actually shot a video to this song, to Noisebastardz, on the same weekend that we shot the Girly Show video, and I didn't use the footage in the end because I didn't like the look of it. This is one of the songs where I think the vocals, from today's point of view, ruin the track. I don't like the sound and style of my vocals on this at all anymore, which is a shame because I think the music still works. But, I mean, as usual, it is what it is, and I did the best I could at the time. Or as they say, if you don't cringe at your past work a few years later, then you didn't get any better. So I'm glad that I actually seem to have gotten a bit better. Dirtygrrrls, Dirtybois. This was the big club hit on the album, and I initially sent this track as the last demo for the album to my label and said that last track is just a little joke. And I quickly got an email back where the label said, hey, just make the kick drum harder and then this is a hit. And I have to say they were right. There are 2 versions of this song, the album version and then the video version, which has my friend, the ultimate MC, Sean Nerez, in it. And Sean was very famous in the late 90s hardcore techno scene, where he was Mark Arcadipane's live MC. So I asked him to do some shouts on the video, and you can get that version with Sean on my Bandcamp, which is the only place where you can get it. As most of you know, 70% maybe of the scene hated the song, which didn't matter because every goth electro club in the world played it for probably 10 years. In 2007, maybe the scene had enough of sad future pop singing or like screechy, harsh electro hissing and wanted to get poppier. I don't know. It's just me speculating. I only thought, hey, great, this track is getting a lot of play back then.
Dirty girls, make some noise, move that ass with dirty boys.
We later shot a music video at the Zoe 3 bar in Hamburg, which my friend Thomas owns. And the shoot took 2 days and ended up in a really high quality video, even by today's standards. And that video made the goth scene hate me even more. Probably because it looked like a commercial dance music video. Little story, I can't tell you how many times I talked to some guy in a club who said to me something like, I really don't like Dirty Girls, Dirtybois, it's way too poppy. And then later I see the same guy run to the dance floor when the song got played because all the girls went dancing immediately and then a bunch of guys followed quickly after. Still makes me laugh today. I was recently asked if, from today's perspective, I would have released the song knowing how much hate I would get. And that was a good question, but the answer is I don't know. On one side, there's endless ridicule and insults from people on the internet. And on the other hand, there's a song that put me on the map in the goth electro scene, even though the track was not goth electro at all. And I think that was more important in the long term than anything else. Because if you do things differently than everyone else, you will always get a lot of shit for that. And back then, there simply weren't any industrial pop bands, which only came later. Maybe it's time to make a darker version of this track. Losing for Real. This song is me poking fun at some super goth folks from the Hamburg scene who I got to know once my music became more known. And the first verse is about a local DJ who was just insanely jealous of the fact that I had become more well-known than him, which wasn't very hard, you know, and his completely unknown electro project. And he would refuse to play my songs, no matter how many people requested them. I think he might still not play my stuff to this day if he's DJ. Don't know. I haven't seen him in 20 years. I don't know.
Why are you using my name, son?
The second verse is about any prototypical mid-2000s goth girl trying to be mysterious and alluring. Many were trying to do this. And while this is mainly just a straight-up diss track, I'm quite happy with some of the lyrics, actually.
You fucked up caterpillar screaming my name. You're like a steroid crazed bodybuilder, thin skin and veiny.
For example, a fucked up caterpillar is someone who can't go from being a larva to a butterfly, which means he's staying in his little place and not evolving, which perfectly described that DJ guy. And the line, steroid crazed bodybuilder, thin skinned and veined, doesn't seem to make a lot of sense unless you know that bodybuilders get very, very thin skinned from steroids and the tough dieting. And by thin skinned, I mean two different things. First, obviously, I mean they lack patience and that their skin actually gets paper thin from all the diuretics and the super low 2, 3, 4% body fat. Many of my songs have these details that most people are completely oblivious to, but I really like putting those in, even though back then I knew that no one would understand them. But you have to do your art for yourself first, no matter if people get it or not. My favorite thing about this song is that the chorus bass line is very inspired by the bass line in Backstreet Boys' Everybody, and the bell sound in the beginning is inspired by Dr. Dre's Keep Their Heads Ringing. Coke for My Ass. Probably my favorite track on this album, which I think totally holds up 20 years later today. People have asked me many times what inspired the song, and the honest truth is that I was in my car driving to the gym with Saramune Miyonji, the guy who did the Japanese vocals on Mataku on FH2. And on the drive, he said, "Stop at the gas station, I need some Coke for my ass," because he just wanted to buy Coca-Cola. And as we were back then, we made tons of jokes about the phrase all through the training session. And I remember us standing at the barbell bench press, coming up with the "You snort Coke up your ass" monologue, which we recorded a few days later. That was a fun hour of training. People think that's a movie sample, but Saramune Miyonji is the person who speaks that with a fake southern accent.
Wait a minute here. Go slow, You take coat up the ass. You telling me you inhale through your sphincter?
Of all the lyrics, my favorite line is the second one, where I say, I got that 20 cycle pound in my kick of doom.
I got that 20 cycle pound in my kick of doom.
This obviously makes no sense unless you know that audio engineers talk about frequencies as cycles. So 20 cycles means 20 hertz. And if you know that, then you know that a 20 hertz kick or a 20 cycle pound is a very low bass heavy kick drum. Which also explains the reason that the person in the previous line is shaking her ass and the whole club I mentioned in the next line is bouncing.
When all the club is bouncing, you will be bouncing too.
Stylistically, the track was clearly inspired by Justin Timberlake's Sexy Back, which Mark Akaripana, who I was good friends with, had just played for me a few days earlier because he really liked it. Mono Man featuring Dr. T. This is a very misunderstood track where a bunch of people got angry at me because they thought it was a Suicide Commando diss track. I can understand why they might think that because the second line, torture, bind and kill, can easily be misconstrued to be talking about Suicide Commando. But in reality, this is a song about all the many harsh electro bands who straight up copied Suicide Commando in the early to mid 2000s. And that's why the line is purposely in the wrong order. The original Suicide Commando song or lyric is Bind, Torture, Kill. And I switched that order to show that people are just copying it.
Copy, paste, and done, yeah, yeah, it's time to harvest.
I also wrote copy, paste, and done, yeah, yeah, it's time to harvest, which refers to bands trying to cash in on the then popularity of Suicide Commando. Today I don't remember why I made the music as it is, but back in those times I really didn't think like a marketer or like a record label. I just made the music I wanted to make. And if the song was good enough, it was on the record. So I can't tell you why I chose this fun, upbeat style. Probably because it was the polar opposite of very angry, hard 2000s harsh electro. Female backing vocals in the chorus were my then keyboard player, Dr. T. And I think it was also Shaolin, but that was before she had her first song out. Storm Sparks Structure. This is the last song on FH2, and ironically, I put it right after Mono Man, because in Mono Man, I talk about standard harsh electro copycat bands, only to have the next song be relatively standard mid-2000s harsh electro. And when people say in internet comments, Faderhead isn't taking anything seriously, this is one of the things that they mean, and they are sometimes very right. Back then, I generally subscribed to the thought of taking my music seriously and taking myself lightly, and that is why the last song on FH2 sounds like it sounds. When revisiting my second album, FH2, it's very obvious to me how little I thought about what I was doing, and that I was, in the context of the goth scene. Back then, I just made music more or less randomly, and then just picked the best songs to go on an album, 12, 14 songs. And I think for that reason, FH2 is one of my most disjointed sounding albums, which is absolutely not unusual for a second album because most musicians are still in a phase of finding their style. In 2006, I still had one foot still firmly in hip-hop, pop, commercial dance, and techno production due to my friendship with Mark Akaripana, who lived not even a kilometer from here, and the ultimate MC, Sean Merez or Shaolin. Back then, a random Saturday might be me meeting Mark at his studio and, just hang out and discuss production techniques. And then later, Sean and I would be hanging out with Lynn at a hip-hop workshop, in a different area where she was practicing how to rap on stage. And then in the evening, Lynn and I might go to a big goth party in Hamburg. Or Mark, Sean, and I, we would visit Special D or DJ Bonebreaker of Brooklyn Bounce in their studio, which was also just like right over here. And it was all about the music and about being free and not restrained by rules or how things were supposed to be. Because there was also no marketing thinking when it came to the music. Interestingly, my label then, Accession Records, they let me do whatever I wanted, which was super cool. Even though, you know, it made for an incredibly incoherent album. But, you know, it was very authentic to me and my life in 2006 and 2007. Of course, I didn't notice all of this back then, but it was a great time, and I'm glad things happened how they happened, and that FH2 sounds like it sounds with all the mistakes. I hope you enjoyed this track-by-track commentary, and if you did, you can also watch the other ones for my other albums.